This conference will now be recorded.
I'm sharing my screen. Should be able to see my screen now. All right. Yesterday we have learned about app service. We have also deployed an app service into, we have deployed a web application developed in .NET into this app service. And we were able to browse this application as well. So let's say we are done with this development. Okay. Now, internal team has verified the functionality and everything looks good. Now, we need to give this to our customer. So we gave this URL to our customer and customer has reviewed it. And now customers gives some additional feedback. Customer says, can you please change the text in the home page? This right now we are in home page. Instead of welcome, can you make some changes? Welcome to Azure DevOps. Okay, that's the feedback that client has given. So now, additional point that client says is, can you please make this change and don't deploy it yet to this website? Because this website is being reviewed by many people and users. Public users are accessing this website. So don't directly deploy the changes into this, but create a staging environment for internal stakeholders and deploy it there. Once I give a go ahead, then you can publish it to this. So here just think that this is production for now. Temporarily assume that this is production, which is used by end users. The client wants to review every change from now onwards before we publish into production environment. Okay, so that's the requirement from our customer, right? So we are going to create a staging environment today, and once that is done, we will also learn how to do zero downtime deployments using app service. Yesterday, if you remember, the immediate first request after deployment was little slow. It was taking 3 seconds, 4 seconds approximately, right? I mentioned even that delay is a concern to some critical applications. So we will also learn how to create zero downtime deployments using app service. Okay, yeah. So our agenda is to complete two things. One, provide a staging environment to Azure to customers, stakeholders, because this is being used by public users. And then we'll also see how to do zero downtime deployments. That's number two. And third thing is we will also learn how to revert back to previous version. All these three things we are going to learn today. So all these three can be achieved using a concept, using a feature of app service called staging slots or deployment slots. Deployment slots is the right technical term. Okay. So staging slot, deployment slots are available only in standard or higher. So we are inside app service now. Right now it is in free pricing tier. So obviously it is not available. Deployment slots will be disabled. So we have to upgrade it first. So how do I upgrade it? I can either click on this, it will take me to app service plan, or I can go to scale up. So we need to increase, we need to change the pricing tier, right? So select S1, by default S1 is selected. Click apply. It is done. Now go to deployment slots. The feature will be enabled. Yeah, we can see deployment slot. It says you do not have any deployment slots yet. But by default, when you create an app service, one slot will be there. That slot name is production. Okay. And before I do anything, I can click on this add slot to create a new slot. But before that, let me show you something. So please pay attention, guys. I'm going to app services. So right now we have two app services. This is the one that we are working, and ignore this. Okay, there are two app services currently. Okay, so now we want to create a deployment slot inside this deployment slot for this. So we can create deployment slots for this because it is in standard pricing tier. Okay, let's go there, back, deployment slots. Now let's create a new one by clicking on add slot. So I need to provide a name. Oops, STAGI. You can provide any name, test, staging, anything. So when you provide a name, you see, you observe the URL or actual app service name and then hyphen staging. So whatever name you provide here, that will be appended to the actual app service name. Okay. Dot Azure websites.net. That means each slot will have a unique URL. So far we know that app service will get URL, but staging slot also gets a new URL. Okay, that means when you create a slot, it is actually internally going to create a new app service itself. Okay, I'll prove that. Now clone settings from. So this is about configurations. Remember, we have configurations as well, right? Yesterday we have created connection string, app settings. I think 2 or 3 app settings we created. So do you want to clone them? Yes, I want to clone them. Click on add. So now we are done with creation of a new slot for our staging, because customer requested us to create a separate environment for reviewing the new releases. It is completed. Let me close it. So now I can see production slot plus additional slot. Now how many slots I can create here? We can create only 5 slots because we are in standard pricing tier. But if you want more slots, then you should go to premium. Premium provides us 20 slots. So probably an interview question, how many slots can we create in standard? It's 5. How many slots can we create in premium? It's 20. Okay, so remember those numbers. All right, so now we have 2 slots. So let me go back to app services here. So here still it doesn't show us the third one, right? But actually the staging slot is also a separate app service. Okay, let me show you that. So for this app service, right, we see all these are all settings, right? There are many settings. So now if I go to deployment slots and click on our slot, see almost all the settings are the same. Okay, now let's go to configuration, and you see all the configurations were also copied, including the connection string. So Technically, this is a completely different app service. Okay, that means we can deploy code separately only to this without impacting the primary production slot. You see, username is also different. Okay, so now let's deploy, or let's make the change that the customer has requested. It was very simple change. All they were asking is, I think, yeah, all they were asking is to make some changes, right? Okay, it's not just welcome. So probably let me run this first. I think I have changed it completely. So let me first run this and show you the changes. Okay. Earlier it was just taking us to welcome page initially, right? Right now we are in local, but now there was additional features that customers have requested. Instead of just welcome privacy, we want a place where we can add new employees, we can edit new existing employees, blah blah blah. All that feature is requested. So this is our first release. So customer says, I want to review this. Okay, this is my local. In production, we just have home and privacy, right? It just takes us to this page. Home, when you click on home, it was just displaying welcome. We don't want welcome now, we want something like that. That's a requirement. Okay, so now we need to deploy this, right? So if we deploy directly to production, customers will not agree, right? So they want a separate feature. That's why we created slot. Now how do we deploy it to slot? It's very simple. Go to staging and again download the publish profile of this particular slot and integrate this with Visual Studio. Or this time today I don't want to integrate this. Guys, can you please go on mute? There is some background noise. Or if you have any question, please let me. Thank you. Yeah, Jagdish is asking, one slot can create one website. Yeah, technically yes, it's a separate website, but it's just a staging website. You should not use it for end users. You should not share this with end users. It is only for internal testing purpose. Yeah. So yesterday we have seen how to integrate this with Visual Studio. Today I don't want to integrate this Visual Studio, but I want to connect to that using FTP. So I have downloaded FileZilla. There are many FTP clients. It's up to you on what FTP client you would like to use. Okay, so I can open that get published profile and copy paste the credentials. That's one way. Or we can also go to deployment center and copy paste the connection string, username, passwords, even from here. We already learned that, right? So let me try connecting to FTP. Oops, what did I do? Sorry guys. Copy username. Let's see. Copy the password. Oops. Password. Oh, the name got vanished somehow. Copy it. Yeah, paste it. There is some certificate issue. That's okay. Yeah. So you see, when we created a slot, it created empty website. Okay, we did not navigate to that yet, right? Let's go and navigate to that. So how do you do that? Go to overview blade, click on browse. Observe the URL. It has staging word. So when we created that slot, we were able to copy configuration items, but it will not copy the code base. So we have to explicitly deploy the code into staging slot. Okay, let's do that now. So let's create a build again. I am going to click on publish. This is specific to .NET, guys. This particular step varies based on application. I am just creating the executable. Okay. So publish. Sorry, I should not have used publish. I would like to cancel it. Sorry. So if I click on publish, it will go to production slot, right? We don't want that. So what we want is I want to create a package in my local machine. So click on new. Instead of Azure or instead of import profile, I would like to choose folder. So I am playing a developer role here, guys. Please understand, a DevOps engineer will not know all this, will not be doing all this in real time. Only developers will be doing that. Okay, don't worry about all these steps. So here developer is creating a package in this particular folder, bin release publish. This folder. So I will be jumping between multiple places, so please bear with me. I will have a separate, we will spend separate few minutes for question and answers. So let's first try to understand all this. Yeah, publish succeeded. It's available somewhere in this folder. So now let me navigate. Yeah. So you see publish. This is our package that generally developers create it. You guys just need to deploy it. Okay. So now let me copy this path and paste it inside FTP. Yeah, I can see all this, right? So now we need to push all this into this. Before I do that, let me show you again the two apps. So this is staging. It's empty currently. Again, I would like to access our production slot as well. This is our production slot. Which contains only this. Okay, welcome page. Sorry guys. Yeah. So production slot contains only welcome page and staging slot contains basic HTML page. So our request by the customer is, yeah, create a staging slot, separate slot, and then deploy our latest changes to this. Don't deploy to production yet. That's what our customers have requested. Okay. So now I'm going to deploy our new feature, employee listing, employee add feature into this staging slot. Okay. So let me do that now. So I would like to select everything, right click and upload. This is how you deploy things to using a FTP. So I'm done. So now let me go back and refresh this. Because there is a deployment, it will be little slow for the very first request. You see, it is slow now. And yes, in our staging slot, we can see the code getting deployed. Yeah, it is looking fine. Now let's share this to our customer. Customers will review all this. It looks good, right? I don't think there is any problem. The ad is working. I can create a new entry. I can edit existing ones, blah, blah, blah. It's all looking good. Client will quickly review it and give us a go ahead. So before that, let me show you the current production situation. It's still welcome and it is very fast, right? Now customer says, please promote these changes into production. I am giving a green signal. So what we can do is there are multiple options, right? I can connect FTP to the production and I can deploy. That's number one. Or you already connected from Visual Studio. I can right click and publish like how we did yesterday. So we can take all approaches. But if I do that, the website will run slowly for the very first time. So that is not a zero downtime deployment. There will be downtime for few seconds or minutes. Okay, so client, I mean, we don't want that, right? So let's use this zero downtime deployment feature. How do you do that? It's very simple. So please pay attention, guys. Go to app service, navigate to your slots, and right now I am in slot, and you see a button called swap. Click on this. So what we are saying is, from this source, basically I want to switch between this. I want our staging to be promoted to target, and target will be a backup to us in our staging. You're able to understand this? So whatever you have in staging will come to production. Whatever you have in production, it will come back as a backup to staging. Okay, so let me click on swap. So this swap operation takes 1 minute approximately. It will take some time. During this time, you guys can access as if you are end users. I think I have a restriction, right? I have an IP address restriction, so you cannot access it. That's fine. That's fine. Please pay attention here, guys. So yeah, let me click on swap. So an Azure administrator or operations guy will be doing this. It is going to take some time, at least 45 seconds. So
there will not be any issue in the performance for the production or staging at this time.
yeah, exactly. Very good question, right? That's the exact thing. There will be no problems with production when you're doing this. That's the feature that Azure App Service slots will give us. There will be problem with staging a little bit. I'll show you that. That's what I'm going to do now. Even now, there will be no problem with production. That will be taken care automatically while the swap is in progress also. So now it is done. So now let me quickly go to production. This is our production, right? So observe, please pay attention. If I refresh now, no, I don't think anybody is accessing, right? So I'm the only person who is accessing this. Now please pay attention to the performance. I click on home, or I can click on refresh, anything. See, it is very fast. But now, if I go to staging, it was this earlier. If this is staging, let me click home. It is slow and it is a backup, right? So production will not have any issues. It will be very fast as if nothing happened. But the deployment is complete. And now everybody started seeing this. Okay. But now people observed that there are some problems with this. Client also did not test it properly. Some problem. Probably validations are not in place. Okay, validation is in place, but let's assume validation is not in place, or there is some problem, or first name, last name, email address are only taken, but phone number is also important. Phone number is not asked because we need to contact them via email and phone number. Unfortunately, our developers have missed, testing team did not catch it, and even customer also ignored it, missed it, everybody missed it. So now customer says no, we cannot ask users to only provide email address. We want phone number, which is also very, very important. Please revert it immediately. Some people have started submitting the details, which is incorrect. We will not be able to reach them. Emails, nobody will see, right? Phone number is very important. So client says revert it back. So it's very simple. Again, go back here. Again, do one more swap. It's as simple as it is. The same operation that we need to do. Whatever you have in staging, it should be good. It should go to production and the production should come back to staging. It's as simple as it is. So staging slots has multiple benefits. allows us to take backups of what was there previously in production, so that if something goes wrong in a new release, there is a chance to quickly revert back, like what I'm doing now. And it allows us to do zero downtime deployment. End users will not face any performance issues. And these are the two benefits, important benefits. There are other benefits as well. Now, there are limitations as well. Okay, I'll just take a minute to explain that. There's only one limitation, so I'll explain that in a moment. But let me show you the revert process. So while this is happening, now I can easily navigate. There will be no problem at all. Yeah, in fact, it is already complete. You see, this slowness happens only in staging. Yeah, everything got reverted. So staging slots is only for web application. In real time, it will not be as simple as I shown. It will be a little complicated to revert back because database changes will also be there. But let's not worry about database. It will be normal process. So developers or data developers have to do, but have to revert them separately. So this particular feature of slots, this particular feature of zero downtime deployment and reverting that is only available for app services. So now I've reverted it and everything is normal as if it is earlier. So now developers will have to make changes which acts for accepting all the phone numbers, blah, blah, blah. And then again, they have to follow the same process to deploy it. Now, the only downside is usually, right, staging people also do performance testing on this. So because performance testing will be done usually on staging environment, never in production environment. Not just performance testing, but security testing, performance testing, all these load kind of testing, all these testings which generate load, right? You should never do that in production because end users will get impacted. But in this case, if you run performance test or security testing on staging environment, there is a problem. There will be problem because the production environment and staging environment are sharing the same capacity. So if you do a load test on this or performance test on this, your production website will also become very slow. Okay. Yeah. Now I am open for questions on staging slots. Please go ahead, guys.
Hi Praveen. I have a question that how we can confirm that whether we have uploaded the correct backup.
By looking at this output, right?
No, if there are so many backups are there, so if there is any, we are giving the numbers or the versions to the backups.
Here we are deploying it the slots, right? We cannot have so many. We can have only 5. Okay. So here we need to remember that whenever you are releasing, right? Here I am named it as staging. So initially I promoted staging to production, right? So you should remember this particular thing. So what you should make is you should, instead of staging, you need to put a proper naming convention. Instead of staging, probably you can say date, February 14th backup. So if you name that way, it will be easy. You can ensure that you are reverting back to the proper backup. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Praveen, sorry.
Yeah, Janana, please go ahead.
Yeah. See, you said it is sharing the same environment. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's sharing the same app service plan.
So, okay, it is going to create a different route in the IAS or something like it is altogether different server. How should I look into?
No, same server but different website. Same server, different website.
So under the same IAS, you have different websites.
Correct.
Okay, on the same server, different website. So the thing is, it looks like the staging is a subset of that production, right?
Correct.
The connection string of this staging should be different from that. Something we use the same thing. In the real-time environment, we should change that, right? So because it is pointed to different.
Very good question, right? Yeah, I did not explain that. Very good question. So basically the question is, let me explain. I will elaborate your question. So the question is, here we are talking about data, right? Can you please go on mute? There is some background noise. So here we are in staging. We see data here, and when you promote it, the data in the production is also same, right? So that might be a problem in some scenarios, because when we are in staging also, our users, can you please go on mute? You can unmute, and I mean, once I'm done with explanation, you can unmute. Thank you. Yeah, sorry. So here, I think you're not. What's that? Okay. So here we are talking about database. So staging environment is referring to some database, and production is also referring to some database, but usually they should be different, because before promoting our test developers, our testers, internal team might be running some test, right now the problem is, if developer is adding some records, that is going into production as well, because we have only one database. I created this database. I did not show you that, but just to make sure that this app is running, I already created a database and I'm using it already. So what what Janardhan's question is, that should not happen, right? The connection string should be different for different environments. That's an absolutely valid question. So now, is there any flexibility of using different connection strings, different application settings, everything different? Is there any such facility? Absolutely yes.
Yes.
Absolutely yes. So now, while creating it, okay, as I said, app service itself is a complete different environment, right? So what we can go here is, I'm sorry, configuration, right? So when we created this slot, I mentioned that please create all settings as well. So it will just copy everything that is there in production. So probably this connection string is pointing to production. So it copied the same thing, right? So that's a mistake that I did. Okay, so now let me do this. Let me delete this staging slot. It's simple, just delete and provide the name of that slot and click on delete. It is going to delete it. Okay. So now the way I should have created our slot is this. I mean, I followed the same approach. We will right approach, but before that, as a DevOps engineer, we should ask our developers, are these settings common to all slots? Probably developers would say no. Discount will be 5% to end users. For testing, we can put whatever you want. Okay. So let me add one more. There is GST. Let's take GST. For end users, GST is 18%. But for us testing, it is 0%. Probably something like that. We wanted to have that kind of facility, right? So I'm clicking on save and saving it. That's one. GST must be different for end users. GST must be separate for us, to internal testers. And same case is with connection string, right? This is a, how do I change it? Right, go towards right and you see edit button here. So this database connection string production, this is production. So now we don't want this production connection string, and we don't want this 18% GST. We want we want GST as 0%, and we want this connection string as testing. So what we should do is, whenever you are adding, you also need to ensure that it is deployment slot setting. That means for every slot, there should be different item. That's what we wanted to convey. So this particular checkbox plays very important. Okay. So our connection string should be specific to slot. So check this, click OK. And now here it says there is a column called deployment slot here. And this will turn S. And the same way GST is also specific to slot. Currently it is not true, right? So which one is GST? Third one from bottom. Yeah. And this also I'll make it as true. Okay, only one of them is deployment specific slot. So save it, don't forget. Many people forget to click on save. Yeah, it is done. So now let's create a slot. So go to slot, slots, add a slot. So I think someone was asking, right? How do you ensure that we are doing a right backup? So what we can say is February 14th backup. Some name using which you can understand which backup is that. And yeah, I want to clone it, obviously. Click on add. So now there will be confusion, guys. Please pay attention. So creation of slot, there is no difference. It's very simple, straightforward, like how we did earlier. There is no change. Now, how do we swap it? Go to app service and you should click on swap, right? So we are in production, so it is not displayed here. So we need to go to staging slot or whatever slot name you provided. So go to this February 14 slot. Click on swap now. Please pay attention, guys. Now, please pay attention. Now, here, if when I'm going to slot, focus on this config changes. What are the settings in source? What are the settings in target? There is no change, that what it says, right? But actually there should be a change, right? GST must be 0 and connection should be referring to test connection string, right? So what we should do is slot should refer different settings. So go to configuration settings of slot. When we created this slot, it actually, let's see what happens. It actually copies all the values from production slot, which is not correct, right? So this should not be 18%, this should be 0% for us. This should be still checked. Okay. I'm changing the values of our staging slot only. Production still will be 18%, and this is staging. It is not production. Okay, click OK. Now click on save. So when we created a slot, developers know that slot should refer some other values. So developers will change these values with our help, with the DevOps engineer's help. Okay. Yeah, now we are good. The production slot is referring to production values and staging slot is referring to staging values. These rest of the other values can be common to all the slots. Okay. Now go to overview blade and then try to swap. Now pay attention here. Why is it not showing changes? Okay, let me refresh this, guys. There are changes, right? Within slots.
Preview maybe? Perform swap preview on the top.
No. Anyways, let's move on. So what happens is this staging slot still refers to old slot and production slot. I mean, we have configured them as sticky settings. So when you do a swap, those settings will not be swapped. Okay, so I think we should change one more setting. Let's do one more. There is some confusion, guys, so please try to me. So we are in staging slot. Okay, so let me also make a change to this discount. So I'm changing this to 15 in staging slot. I'm not making this as deployment slot. Okay, that's the only change that I am making additionally. So I will summarize what all we did. GST we made slot specific. Connection string we made slot specific. That means whenever you are doing a swap, don't change this. That's what we are saying here. Okay, but now discount is only thing that I changed from 5 to 15. So 15 is in the slot, 5 is in production. Okay, guys, are you able to see my screen? I am now clicking on swap button. Now you observe there are changes.
No, we are not able to see. Praveen.
Okay, now can you see it now? I am in slot. Yeah, you should be able to see it now. Yeah. Now you observe there is a change when you do a swap. Old value is 15 and you are getting new 5 value in the source. In the staging we are doing a swap, right? Generally when you do a swap, all connection string, all settings, all code, everything will be swapped between the two settings. That's usually happens, but we don't want connection string to be modified, right? So because connection string is a slot specific setting, it is not showing it here. But discount is not a slot specific setting. That's why it says in the source, in the staging slot, currently it is 15. It will get 5 after the swap operation is complete. That's what it is saying it here. Does it make sense, guys? You understand this? Confused?
Yeah, a bit. Can you just change connection string for staging and production if we can able to see?
Yeah, that's already changed. Okay, let me show you that. It's different for staging, different for production. Okay, so let me close rest of all the tabs so that focus. I'm moving to our production. So this is production. Let me make production to the left and I will go to configuration. GST is 18% here. Connection string is referring to production. Okay, in production. Let me close it and I will show you this. GST is 0 here. Discount is 15 here. Yeah, 15.0 staging in the slot. Okay, 15.0 staging. 5.18 production. These are the settings in production. So when I am doing a swap, okay, what all changes do you think must be swapped? Now tell me.
It should be only discount.
Very good. When we are swapping, this should not be swapped because it is a deployment slot specific setting.
Okay. Okay.
Also called as sticky settings. These values will always stick to this particular slot. But
You mean
this
that?
one is
You mean that setting is dedicated to this environment only?
correct.
This slot only. Okay.
Exactly. But this is not dedicated to this. If you are swapping this with some other slot. So this value to go to that slot and that value to come to this slot. Okay. So now let's do a swap. So click on swap and it is showing us discount. Who is the source here? Source is staging slot. So right now it is 15. When you do a swap, it will get 5. That's what we'll get in staging. But what about production? It will be ulta, reverse. Okay, so now connection strings or any other setting, if you think that staging should always have different, then you should make it as deployment slot specific setting. Did I answer your question?
This means whenever you are changing we are creating a new slot, you have to make sure all the the slot specific settings should be changed, or else we are going to mess up the database, right?
Yes, absolutely correct.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Any other questions related to swap? You can also do this. Try on your own on this particular thing. What happens when you select preview? All that you can explore on your own. Yeah. Any other questions, guys? I think that's it on swap. I highly recommend you to. Yeah, please go ahead.
So one thing, like we can create up to 5 slots, right? Deployments.
In standard, yes.
Yeah. So basically, what happens, like production to when we do swap, production become a backup, means it's become to staging, and the staging becomes production. When let's consider there is a problem. So major feature, I am just trying to say that when it becomes staging and we want to deploy, we have to select. There is a change. Let's say a bug is there, and we have to we have to fix the bug, where we can directly publish to production as well, right? Because we have to bring back to the staging again and then make changes and again. So there is a delay of fixing the bug, and whatever features are available when we went live to the production. Now you are getting again the old things again when we swap again. So is there any way to avoid that kind of thing? You understood what I'm just.
Your question is, there is a production already running, there is a bug fix. Okay, we want to fix it immediately.
Yeah.
Okay, so you generally test it locally. It is fixed. Now you also need to test it in external environment, right?
Absolutely.
Before you make it production, right? So create a slot for that bug fix. Deploy it, test it quickly, and do a quick swap.
Okay, another slot, deployment slot.
Yeah, another slot.
Okay, then what happens to that earlier production? So that becomes a third one category.
Correct. Overall, you will have 5, right? So you should do a cleanup activity. If already 5 are occupied, delete one of them which is old for this bug fix.
Okay.
Simple. It's all about slides. You can have as many scenarios as you want. It could be a bug fix, it could be a new release, it could be a patch, anything. The same feature can be used for n number of scenarios in production. But the concept here is how to handle configuration items, connection strings, right? So we are getting zero downtime deployment. All that are features, but we should be careful about these settings. Okay, that's about slots. I'm going to delete this. Any questions, guys, before I delete this?
For the connection string, internally application has to manage the swap the servers, right?
No. The rest of the code will remain same. Here, when you do a swap, automatically Azure will ensure that what should be swapped, how to swap, all that. Developers need not worry about anything. Only one very important thing is deployment slot specific is the attribute that we should check for our connection.
Okay, when we have a connection for production and when we have a connection for staging, at that time the connection string for the staging would be different, right? So where have we
Yeah,
mentioned that?
that's what we discussed now, right?
Okay, can you just show me once for that deployment, that configuration?
Yeah, sure. The same thing that we were discussing, the same thing. I think we got confused. So you see, when we did a swap,
So
this is staging
okay,
connections.
okay, it has a different value. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
in
So
production.
will this be managed by a Azure admin, or we can do configuration coding while doing
Yeah,
CI/CD?
yeah, CSCD, we can do CSCD.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thanks.
All right. All right, guys. I think that's about slots. I think we will. I thought of doing auto scaling on that, but we'll do it tomorrow. Yep, I think that's it for today, guys. I don't have any quiz for this because we already done with this quiz, right? With app service. So let me share you interview questions on app service. I'm not sure if I have shared it with you guys. So let me quickly share you interview questions on app service. So actually I have a single place for all questions, but so please save this URL. Previous quiz. Yeah, I think you asked it already. Let me share it right away. Yeah, other questions, guys. I think this will take time giving Timaradi the access to other quiz. Which all you don't have, Timaradi? Can you please tell me which all you need?
So I want from Monday to Saturday. I lost that URL.
Yeah, please, guys. Humble request. You should save them carefully. Please don't come back to me saying that after 10-15 days. Don't come back to me and ask it again. So please save them carefully. I can see many people, approaching me every single time asking this, that. So you should save them properly. Yeah, I'm giving it to you.
So can you share these PPTs?
Yeah, sure. You should download it, Timaradi. I'm giving you recording. You should ask your point of contact. You can
I
download it.
understood only which.
Praveen, you mentioned that the swapping is done by the Azure admin, or the DevOps person can also do that.
No, it's not. Anybody can do it. Simple. It's a feature in Azure. Okay, anybody can do it. If you want to automate it via pipelines, that can be done. But the way that I showed you is manual approach. But the same thing can be done even in pipeline as well.
So who is responsible for swapping the deployment source? It's like DevOps engineer, like, or the implementation team?
See, there are only two things: either manual or automation way, right? Swapping can be done either manually or automatically, right?
Yeah.
So if your team demands, if your client demands it to be done automatically, then DevOps engineers will automate it, automate the process. DevOps engineers will automate the process. So whoever runs it, whoever runs the pipeline, in general DevOps engineers might not run it. Pipeline can be run by anybody, right? Operations teams, admins, anybody. You got it?
Praveen, maybe this is out of scope. See, the DevOps engineer, okay, I may not have a right to create a slot. Okay, so yeah, that may not be the slot. But I think about, okay, so I may not have a right to create a new database server. So can it be configurable to authentication or authorization? Can we do that, or like So I
Yes.
want to see some of the functions. So this team can see some of the functions in this screen what you are showing and presenting now. So suppose I don't want to see, Janardhan should not see this SQL Server and SQL database. Okay, so can we do that?
Yes, you can do that. All that RBAC is possible. Absolutely.
Okay, so is the role belongs to Azure admin or like?
Yeah, owner. So owner who can do all that.
Oh, owner. Okay. Thank you.
Praveen, means last 2 days, like I missed the quiz. In the meantime, you shared any assignments to the team?
Sorry.
Like
Assignment.
2 days assignments you didn't started sharing, right?
Terraform, I already shared it. Did you miss that?
Yeah, yeah, I missed that. That's the thing I wanted to confirm.
Sure. Let me share you that. So I'm sharing the quiz, guys. Because they might be asking. I'm sharing it to everyone. So please copy them. You should copy them right now. Otherwise, you'll miss it. As soon as I end this chat, you'll miss it. I'm also giving you, sharing you the assignment for Terraform. I think I have gave assignment plus solution as well, right? Assignment. Yeah, Terraform assignment. Terraform solution. So Mahesh, everybody please save this Terraform assignment and solution. Yeah. That's it for today, guys. Today we do not have any quiz. Tomorrow we will learn about scaling, auto scaling, blah blah blah, and we'll have a quiz tomorrow. All right. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.